Welcome to Innovator's Journey, the show for highlighting entrepreneurs and creatives and educators who are bringing unique business visions and companies to life. Today, we're joined by Richard Linowes, the president and founding professor of Clarewood University in Reston, Virginia. Richard, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Very, very pleased to be here.
Absolutely. You've held numerous academic positions throughout your career. Why did you choose to become an educator?
So actually, my career is I've sort of went to university, then went to the business world, and went back to the university, and went back to the business world, and I'm sort of back and forth. And each time I would go out in the business world or government service things and get exposed to things, and then I'd sort of come back to university life and try to figure it out and come up with analogs and so on that I could use in class. So I've moved around a lot, but I guess I noticed that I had a talent for sort of lighting fires under people. So I thought that being a teacher is a way to sort of touch the next generation and fire up a bunch of people to go out and go change the world. So early in my life, I had a chance to live in Japan. I was completely astonished by some of the differences in how things work over there and really sort of became obsessed by it. And just an example, I remember I was there with a group of Americans and maybe about 20 or so Japanese, and there was a debate going on. The Americans were intensely debating, and I felt I won the debate. And this Japanese man turned to me and says, "We have a better way." And I spent the next 25 years trying to figure out what he meant by that. And in another situation, when I got out of graduate school, I went and worked with Goldman Sachs in New York, an investment banking firm, and I really learned about how the whole world works and capital flows. And was shocked by how much things I saw there that I'd never learned about in school. And my question there was, why didn't I learn about this in school? Well, we need to do a better job. And the other thing is that I realized that I really wanted to push the idea that we need people of high integrity in the business world. And so I actually came full time to teaching with the intention of trying to fix the business world, to turn out people who've been preached about the importance of integrity, but who also had maybe a larger expanded skill set and understanding of things because of some new ways of teaching that I developed that try to address the issue, why didn't we learn these things in school?
Interesting. In what ways, new ways, do you use the classroom to enrich management education?
So I noticed that there were a lot of things when you're in a class and the teacher sort of pushes things out. It's as if the professor knows the things and the students are just learning it. But students bring so much to the class, whether it's their own work experience or their cultural backgrounds and so on. And so I thought it was really important to try to tap into the knowledge pool that you have in a very international classroom. So, for example, to get serious, on the first day of class, I do a little job interviewing exercise where people sort of become aware of how they come across and they start realizing that what we're going to do in the class is very relevant for what they do. People very often, I saw people on Wall Street do very stupid things when it came to managing people. We need to spend a lot more time talking about managing people. So we have an exercise doing class where everyone stands up, takes turns, making motivational talks to the class, trying to either encourage them to cut costs or to improve quality or to calm their fears, a whole variety of different scenarios that a leader might face. And the students have to make 2-minute management talks. And then they get feedback from how they performed. And then everyone in the class can share experiences that they had in their own work experiences that echo or add to our understanding about how to deal with that situation. And another situation is people graduate school and they haven't really bothered to get informed about what's going on in the world or what's happening with financial markets. So every class, I begin with what I call a strategic news watchboard, where the whole board is filled up with world news and market news. And over the period of about 10 weeks or so, people become biliterate in finding out what's happening in the news and diplomatic world that pertains to business and government. And they learn about what's happening in all the different markets, stock market, bond market, currency markets, and commodity markets. And so that dual literacy is one of the things that my students graduate with. So I think that people graduate from the kind of classes that we've put together with a richer, deeper understanding and a fuller skill set that's really required in the workplace.
That's inspiring.
One of the most fun things is you hear about astronauts and they talk about how they go around the world and how sort of changes their perspective. So I imitate that in class by using the strategic news watchboard, where we have every region of the world and the student takes turns getting up, putting the news up on the board before class. And in effect, they're looking at the whole world, because every region of the world is reported on the board. They see the whole world each week, and they start to develop sort of a global understanding about how things evolve.
Absolutely. So, what are the benefits of teaching classes filled with international students?
Well, first of all, every problem in the world is going to have to be solved by international teams, people who maybe understand, other people who execute, and we all have to work together. But you think about American multinational companies like Procter and Gamble and so on. 50% of their sales are overseas. So if they have international students, say from Nigeria or from Iraq or from Thailand, and they come and study in the United States, they're getting a good dosage of American culture, if they hadn't had it already from Hollywood films, and they add that to their own culture, so they make like a unique type of person for an international role in a global company, particularly like a U.S. global company. And every student can learn about other cultures by their classmates. It's not just something they read about. It's not just something that maybe they go on a 2-week trip. If they have, for example, I have an assignment of a cross-cultural buddy. You have to develop a relationship with somebody, get to know them, get to know their family. I joke around with them and say, extra credit if you date their sister. And the idea is that you really can learn a lot from your classmates, and we should capitalize on that. I think it's so silly that there's the outrage about some of the protests that are happening on campus are driving people to think we need to get rid of our international students. Not at all. The future of the world depends on people being able to work together with people from other cultures.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time today. What an inspiring career trajectory, and so fascinating the way you combined elements of business and education throughout your career.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Yeah. So, Richard, how can people learn more about Clarewood University?
We have a website. We're a growing organization. We just started a few years ago. Recently, we're accredited. And basically, I wanted to have a market test that my teaching innovations really do make a difference. So if employers are dazzled by some of the capabilities the students are graduating with, they'll come back for more. So Clarewood.edu is a university in Reston. We have students age 25 to 50, because we try to work with people who have full-time careers, and we try to prepare them for the next step. I think that education is best designed around people's own yearnings and passions, and that's what we try to do. We try to create a set of talents and skills that will make a difference in people's careers.
So, was there anything that you'd like to add before we close today?
I think that there's a lot of promise in the world right now. President Trump is playing his strong card of pushing everything into negotiations, changing terms in ways that some people will feel is very fair. But I also think that it's not just the deal that's made, but we have to be able to execute the deal. And that means you got to have people on both sides working together. I feel like my classes are a petri dish for growing human capital for the global economy. And I think that's what we need to be focused on as citizens. In Singapore, the educators are the most valuable people in the country. And the U.S. could learn something from that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time today.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Until next time, thank you for watching Innovator's Journey.